What if I told you there is a tree that packs 17 times more calcium than milk, can purify dirty water without chemicals, and has been called the miracle tree by scientists around the world? Every single part of this tree is usable, from the leaves and seeds to the pods, flowers, roots, and bark. It has been consumed for centuries across Africa and Asia, backed by hundreds of peer-reviewed studies, and yet most Americans have never heard of it. This is the story of Moringa oleifera, the tree that might just change how we think about nutrition, water purification, and natural medicine. Native to the Indian subcontinent, Moringa oleifera goes by many names. Some call it the tree of life. Others know it as the drumstick tree, named for its long, slender seed pods. In the Philippines, it is malunggay. In parts of Africa, it is simply the miracle tree. Today, it grows across tropical and subtropical regions, spanning Africa, Asia, South America, and even parts of Florida and the Caribbean. What makes this tree remarkable isn't just what it contains, but how easily it grows. Moringa is fast-growing and drought-resistant. It thrives in poor soil and hot climates where other crops struggle to survive. A moringa tree can grow up to 15 feet in its first year alone, and it produces edible leaves year-round in the right conditions. For communities facing food insecurity and limited resources, this tree represents something extraordinary: a sustainable, accessible source of nutrition that requires minimal investment to cultivate. Let's talk about the calcium claim, because this is where moringa's reputation as a superfood really begins. You have likely seen headlines saying moringa contains 17 times more calcium than milk. But where does that number come from, and is it accurate? The answer requires some nuance. Fresh moringa leaves contain approximately 4 times the calcium of milk per equal weight. That alone is impressive for a plant source. But when those leaves are dried and ground into powder, the water evaporates and the nutrients become concentrated. Studies published in peer-reviewed journals have found that dried moringa leaf powder contains between 1,500 and 2,000 milligrams of calcium per 100 grams. Some analyses have measured even higher, with concentrations reaching 2,500 milligrams or more, depending on growing conditions, soil quality, and processing methods. For comparison, whole milk contains roughly 125 milligrams of calcium per 100 grams. When you do the math, dried moringa powder can indeed contain anywhere from 12 to 20 times the calcium concentration of milk by weight. But here is the important context that often gets left out. Moringa leaves contain phytic acid, an anti-nutrient found in many plant foods that can bind to minerals and reduce their absorption in the digestive tract. This does not mean the calcium is useless. It means the bioavailability, how much your body can actually absorb and use, may be lower than the raw numbers suggest. However, research published in 2020 found that fermentation can significantly improve mineral bioavailability in moringa, increasing calcium absorption by up to 2.4 times. Traditional preparation methods in many cultures, including fermentation and cooking, may have unknowingly optimized nutrient absorption for centuries. The nutritional profile of moringa extends far beyond calcium. When scientists began systematically analyzing the leaves, they discovered one of the most nutrient-dense plants ever studied. Per equal weight, moringa leaves contain approximately 7 times more vitamin C than oranges, 10 times more vitamin A than carrots, 15 times more potassium than bananas, and 25 times more iron than spinach. The protein content rivals that of eggs at roughly 25 to 30% of dried leaf weight, and remarkably, moringa contains all 9 essential amino acids. This makes it one of the few plant sources of complete protein, a characteristic usually reserved for animal products and a handful of other plants like quinoa and soybeans. But the nutritional story does not end with vitamins and minerals. Researchers have identified over 100 bioactive compounds in various parts of the moringa plant, including flavonoids, alkaloids, terpenes, and phenolic acids. These compounds contribute to the plant's antioxidant, anti-inflammatory, and antimicrobial properties. The scientific evidence for moringa's health benefits has been building for decades, and blood sugar control is one of the most thoroughly researched areas. A comprehensive scoping review examining 30 studies found that out of 7 human clinical trials, 5 demonstrated that Moringa significantly reduced blood glucose levels in diabetic patients. Out of 23 animal studies, 21 found statistically significant decreases in blood glucose following Moringa administration. In one notable study, capsules containing 4 grams of Moringa leaf powder taken after an overnight fast significantly increased insulin secretion in healthy subjects. Another trial found that supplementing meals with 20 grams of Moringa leaf powder for 2 weeks improved postprandial blood glucose in patients with prediabetes and diabetes. The effective dose in animal models typically ranged from 100 to 300 milligrams per kilogram of body weight over 2 to 8 weeks. While researchers emphasize that the evidence is not yet strong enough to recommend Moringa as a default treatment for diabetes, these findings provide an important platform for future clinical research. The anti-inflammatory properties of Moringa may be equally significant for long-term health. The plant contains compounds called isothiocyanates, particularly a molecule known as moringin, Moringa isothiocyanate 1. These compounds work by blocking the production of pro-inflammatory cytokines, the signaling molecules that drive inflammation throughout the body. In laboratory studies, Moringa isothiocyanates have been shown to significantly reduce the expression of major inflammatory markers, including tumor necrosis factor alpha, interleukin-1 beta, and interleukin-6. One study using a mouse model of sepsis found that oral administration of Moringa isothiocyanate reduced inflammatory marker expression by 40 to 80% across multiple organs, including the liver, kidney, spleen, and colon. At the molecular level, these compounds work through dual mechanisms. They increase the nuclear accumulation of NRF2, a transcription factor that activates antioxidant defenses while simultaneously decreasing the nuclear accumulation of NF-kappa B, a transcription factor that drives inflammatory gene expression. The antioxidant capacity of Moringa, as measured by standard assays, rivals that of culinary herbs known for their antioxidant properties, including oregano, thyme, and cinnamon. Perhaps the most remarkable application of Moringa involves something entirely different from nutrition: water purification. For billions of people worldwide, access to clean drinking water remains a daily challenge. Conventional water treatment relies on chemical coagulants, often aluminum-based compounds, that have raised concerns about potential neurological effects with long-term exposure. Moringa seeds offer a natural alternative. The seeds contain water-soluble proteins that act as cationic polyelectrolytes, meaning they carry a positive charge that attracts and binds negatively charged particles suspended in water. When crushed, Moringa seeds are added to turbid water. These proteins cause dirt, bacteria, and other contaminants to clump together and sink to the bottom, a process called coagulation and flocculation. The results from scientific studies are striking. Research has demonstrated turbidity reduction of 80 to 99.5% using Moringa seed treatment. One study achieved bacterial count reductions of up to 98.65% in wastewater, with total coliform reduction of 95% and fecal coliform reduction of 100%. Unlike aluminum sulfate, which acidifies water and produces voluminous, non-biodegradable sludge, Moringa treatment maintains neutral pH and produces organic sludge that is easier to dispose of. For communities in developing regions without access to water treatment infrastructure, Moringa seeds represent a sustainable, locally available solution that could save countless lives. The cardiovascular and general health benefits of Moringa continue to emerge through ongoing research. The plant contains quercetin, a flavonoid that may help prevent lipid formation and reduce inflammation in blood vessels. Pharmacological studies have confirmed hepatoprotective effects, meaning protection for the liver, as well as cardioprotective effects for the heart. Clinical studies have examined Moringa's potential in addressing malnutrition, kidney disease, and reproductive health, with over 25 human trials conducted to date. Research into potential anti-cancer properties of Moringa compounds is ongoing, though more evidence is needed before drawing conclusions. For those interested in incorporating Moringa into their routine, several options exist. The most common forms include fresh leaves, which can be cooked like spinach or added to soups and salads, dried powder, which can be mixed into smoothies, stirred into soups, or sprinkled on food, capsules and tablets for convenient supplementation, tea made from dried leaves, and moringa seed oil, often called ben oil, used both internally and for skincare. Studies examining moringa-enriched food products have found that bread made with moringa powder contains higher levels of protein and minerals than regular bread while remaining palatable to consumers. For supplementation, most products contain between 500 milligrams and 2 grams per serving. Experts typically recommend starting with a quarter teaspoon of powder and increasing gradually to assess tolerance, as the high fiber content and bioactive compounds can cause digestive discomfort in some individuals. However, moringa is not appropriate for everyone, and certain populations should exercise caution or avoid it entirely. Pregnant women represent the most important group requiring caution. While moringa leaves have been consumed during pregnancy in traditional cultures, the root, bark, and flowers contain compounds that may stimulate uterine contractions. In traditional medicine, these parts were actually used to induce miscarriages. Most experts recommend that pregnant women avoid moringa or use it only under medical supervision, particularly during the first trimester. Those taking thyroid medication should also be aware of potential interactions. Research suggests that moringa may reduce the conversion of T4 to the active T3 thyroid hormone, potentially decreasing the effectiveness of medications like levothyroxine. People with hypothyroidism or Hashimoto's disease may see their condition worsen with moringa consumption. For individuals with diabetes who are already on medication, the blood sugar-lowering effects of moringa could potentially cause hypoglycemia if combined with insulin or oral diabetes drugs without proper monitoring. Anyone taking prescription medications should consult their healthcare provider before adding moringa to their routine, as the plant's bioactive compounds may interact with various drugs through effects on liver enzymes. What we have with moringa is something rare in the world of natural health, an ancient remedy with genuinely impressive modern scientific support. This is not a case of traditional wisdom being debunked by research. Instead, study after study has confirmed what communities across Africa and Asia have known for generations, that this tree is special. The research is still evolving. More long-term human clinical trials are needed to fully understand optimal dosages, long-term safety, and therapeutic applications. But the evidence we have today is compelling enough that moringa has earned serious attention from the scientific and medical communities worldwide. Moringa products are increasingly available at health food stores, online retailers, and farmers markets in tropical regions. Quality varies significantly between brands, so look for organic certification and third-party testing to ensure purity and avoid contamination with heavy metals or pesticides. If you are considering adding this nutrient powerhouse to your routine, do your homework, start slowly, and consult with a healthcare provider if you have any underlying health conditions or take medications. The miracle tree has stood the test of time for good reason. Now, modern science is helping us understand exactly why. In a world where synthetic supplements line pharmacy shelves and processed foods dominate our diets, there is something profound about a single tree that can address malnutrition, purify water, and potentially help manage chronic diseases. Moringa oleifera represents the intersection of ancient wisdom and modern science, a reminder that sometimes the most powerful solutions have been growing quietly beside us for thousands of years. Whether you are looking to boost your nutritional intake, explore natural anti-inflammatory options, or simply learn about one of nature's most remarkable plants, moringa deserves your attention. The research will continue, the clinical trials will expand, and our understanding will deepen. But one thing is already clear. This tree truly lives up to its name as the tree of life.